As a 13-year-old girl, Cady misses her mom, and no one understands. No one. As she tries to find out more about why her mother left, she discovers a lot that she didn't bargain for. Join me today as I chat with Anne Dallman about Cady and the Search for Family in Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. I'm Sharon Lynn, and welcome to you, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I am glad you are here today. This was a fun read. I have a tendency to really like the middle grade and young adult
Oh,
books
thank
that come
you.
our way, and it's like, okay, I wish I had all of these when I was that age. So, tell us about your special connection and inspiration for this story.
Okay, I spent 15 very wonderful and challenging years teaching high school English on the Hannahville or Nottawash Potawatomy Reservation in Wilson, Michigan, which is about 20 miles outside of Escanaba, Michigan, or 54 miles north of Menominee, Michigan, which is where I live. It's in the Eastern time zone, and I lived in the Central time zone, which meant I was on the road every day at 5:30 a.m. in my good old blazer with a cup of coffee and a bran muffin, driving through some adventurous back roads to get to work. Um, and many of us commuted from throughout the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we would say that our day was over practically by the time we got there because it was challenging just to drive there. I'm kind of rambling here, but in the process, I saw a lot of varied roadkill. Um, Hit two deer, was hit by a county snowplow.
Oh my goodness.
Um, just saw some uh, interesting sights along the way to get to work. But it opened my eyes to a whole new world. I spent most of my life in the Marinette, Wisconsin, which is where I live, and across the river from Menominee, Michigan, most of my life. And I was unaware that there was even a reservation an hour's drive north of us. Um, when I went up there originally, I was in my just turned 42, I think. And was struggling to find a job. Uh, there were very few teaching jobs open in the area I had lived in. Um, and my father sent me a notice about the job, and my best friend sent me a notice. And so I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'm just freelance working, and I need a steady job. I have two children, to help support. So I went up there, and it was just the most wonderful feeling. When I walked in the school, I just thought, yeah, I want to be here.
Oh,
Originally, I was a journalism major at UW-Madison.
mhm.
Um, and, in those days, parents and even the general belief was for women, you went into nursing, you went into teaching, the women jobs. And I remember I was only 17 when I graduated from high school, and I had a big fight with my dad because I wanted to be a journalist. And he said, no, you need to earn an income and you should get your teaching degree. And we compromised. I went to Madison my junior and senior year. I stayed home my first 2 years and went to a UW extension at that time, they called it, in Marinette. Anyway, and graduated with my degree in journalism education, and just did a variety of different jobs in the following years, but always teaching night school, teaching alternative ed on pretty much, I'll call it a freelance basis. Um, was married, had two kids, marriage didn't work out, spent 10 years in the newsroom of a local newspaper, then did marketing at UW Madison, UW Marinette for a year. Then I taught high school journalism in Manitowoc, Wisconsin for 2 years. Um, Life and different situations came up. I ended up back in Marinette and worked in marketing for a large distributor of hair care products.
So
Um,
I'm gonna take you back to the moment where you walked in the school and you felt like
okay,
you
and
were
I'm
just
just getting to that.
yeah.
So anyway, that ended. Um, recertified in English, was looking for a job, and went up to Hannahville, Michigan. A little tiny community. Like I said, I had no idea it was even there. The school originally was in a cluster of trailers, I believe. I was fortunate enough to, when I interviewed, it was just starting, ending the first year, starting the second in their new building.
Mhm.
Since then, they have added extensively to it. It's a beautiful, beautiful school.
That's great.
But you know, you walk into some schools and you just know that you're in the right place. Um, and I remember our principal at the time walking me out the door and saying, we hire not just on qualifications, but on personality if we think the person's going to fit, because, you know, this is an Indian school. And
Mhm.
I said, well, then you should hire me. I got home and the offer was on my answering machine.
Oh, how nice.
And, you know, I was just so excited. And, you know, it was a tough teaching load. Um, for those of you who are teachers, I had to teach seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade English, which is a lot, a
That's a
lot.
lot.
Um,
Just one
especially,
of those grades, English is a lot.
yeah, and especially going into a different culture and primarily an oral culture.
Mhm.
And uh, we alternated what we taught on a yearly basis. And I say that because one of the classes they wanted me to teach was a course in Indian literature or Native American literature, based working with Native authors. There was no curriculum. I had to write the curriculum and develop it. Um, and that was challenging. They paired me with the Potawatomy language teacher, and really, really smart man. And so I did can I say, the more technical, for want of a better word, and he would bring in the cultural aspect. So it was just a wonderful experience. And back in 2000, right at the millennium, at 2000, we actually taught the course over the ITV network, and it went to schools throughout the Upper Peninsula. So
Oh,
this
that's
Zoom
wonderful.
experience is new, but yet it's not. We had a fabulous eh, computer technology up there of the, I want to say 142, and please don't hold me to that number of native schools. We were number two for technology.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I also was privileged to work with a woman who became a dear friend who started a radio program out of the school. One of the things that the students told me, so working with Native authors, primarily they were writing for adults or they were writing for Southwest tribes, the tribes out, you know, and where
Yeah,
you are. Yeah.
that's where I'm from.
And
I'm
they said, what about us? Now they are Potawatomi, which is part of the Three Fires Confederation, or the Anishinaabe, Potawatomi, Odawa, and Chippewa. And so I did. I wrote my first book, Cady and the Bear Necklace. And that was based on another dear friend, Sam English, who's departed 2 years ago. And I wrote the award-winning Sam English, The Life, Work, and Times of an Artist. He had given me this necklace,
That's
and
beautiful.
it, you know, it's charming. It's this beautiful little bear with little turquoise beads, and I was looking at it and wearing it, and the story evolved, you know, from Cady, who's this young girl. Is she based on anyone specifically? No, she's kind of a conglomerate of many of the students who passed through my classroom. And one of your questions was about anger issues. Um, I think a lot of teenagers have anger issues. I think a lot of adults do. Um, and my students were or are exceptionally, I think, gifted artistically. They're
Mhm.
natural poets.
Yeah,
Um,
I love the sketches that Caddy makes as she goes on her adventures. They're really, really delightful.
Thank you. And that was a challenge. You know, you have to adapt to your students and how you teach. And there are the four modalities of teaching and all of that. And mine were, when I say mine, ours were very artistic, exceptionally so.
Yeah.
And
So in the book, did you work with an illustrator or
yes, yes, her name is Joanne, and here I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Well, well, Walitalo, Walitalo, Joanna. And my publisher, the wonderful Victor Volkman of Modern History Press in Ann Arbor, Michigan, uh, he works with her and he hired her to do this. And they approached me and asked for suggestions of scenes that would be adaptable to be drawn.
well,
So
yeah, one of the things I really love is like you've got some scenes, but then you also have Caddy sketches something, and then we see, that sketch. And I think it helps to put us in her world.
thank
Uh,
you. And I one of my goals teaching, and I still consider myself a teacher through writing, is to show kids safe ways to express themselves and to deal with the issues of whether it's anger, frustration, not being understood, whatever. We think of sports as being the main thing, but the arts are just wonderful.
yeah, the
You
theater
know,
teaches you just as much teamwork.
yeah, music, dancing. Many of the students were powwow dancers. One of the wonderful things about teaching up there is all the kids learn beadwork.
Hmm.
And I'm just fascinated with beadwork, starting with the kindergarten kids with the really big beads. And by the time they were in high school, they were using, I should know, the little tiny beads with their looms. And as I've written in all three books, Cady struggles with beadwork. She's not very good. And this is a source of frustration for her because um, it's real honor and to me it's elevates you to be a good bead worker. And she
Hmm.
just is all thumbs at it. She tries. Her older brother is really good at it, but she's not, but she can sketch.
But she can draw, yeah,
She can sketch.
which is
And
wonderful.
through as
So,
she grows, she evolves and learns how to transfer those sketches to her beadwork.
oh, that's
So
exciting. That's very
yeah,
fun.
it is. It is. I think whenever you grow in a skill, it's exciting. Mhm.
Uh, so you mentioned that you worked with I'm not going to say it right,
Potawatomi. Mhm.
Potawatomy
Mhm.
uh, language teacher. And one of the things that Caddy mentions is that there are no curse words, swear words in the
Um,
language. Is that actually true, or is that
that
just something her dad tells her so he doesn't learn the words?
well, that is what my colleague told me, and he's native, traditional, uh, fluent in several native languages, and I took him at his word. So again, that can vary tribe to tribe. That can,
Yeah.
the Potawatomi are part of the Anishinaabe, as I said, Odawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi. Potawatomi means keepers of the fire, and within the Potawatomi, there are seven bands or seven branches. Um, Up in Hannahville or the Nottawash, they are the Woodland Band. And he was from, I believe, the Citizens Band, I think, out of Kansas. But again, there are great differences all over. So I don't want to be in, I would never want to represent myself as an expert at it. That's just what I was told. And this is a work of fiction.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and also I mean, like you said, there's not a lot written about the tribes from that area. It's a lot more of the Southwest tribes because
mhm, mhm.
they're bigger and they were sort of here longer. I mean, Arizona wasn't a state
Yeah,
until
there's just a really rich history in Michigan
1912.
and Wisconsin, which is why I wanted to um, set the book in kind of a roadmap format to hit
Hmm.
on some of the places that are very special.
Yeah, well, and that's just such a wonderful through line for Caddy for getting to know not only, a little bit more about her mother who's been gone for years, but also more about her people. And and yeah, it's like as I was reading, I would stop and look things up on a map, which is one of the wonderful things about reading on a tablet, as you have that resource right there.
Right.
So that kind of roadmap that you created, that trip to take her on, um, was there any particular inspiration behind the various stops?
They're my favorites. Other than,
That's
but
great inspiration.
they're my favorites. Another reason it appealed to me is, as I said, I had to develop a curriculum when I taught Native American literature, and kids like hands-on projects. They, to sit and
Yeah.
read, especially when you're dealing with an oral culture. I tried to find activities that would incorporate the literature. And one of the favorite projects I would give them, I'd have them team up and they'd have to plan a road trip stopping at sites that are important to Native people, um, either historically or maybe they have a name that's, in the language, and do some research about that site. And then I worked in a lot of things like, what is the distance between each one? How much would you spend on gas? Where would you spend overnight? So it was a couple week project and they loved it. And many of them said afterwards, we're going to do this when we
Oh,
graduate, or
that's
I'm going to take this
wonderful.
to my family and see if we can do this. And I learned about a lot of places I didn't know either. Um,
That's one of the wonderful things about assignments. It's like, I know all of this, and then somebody comes back and say, "How about this?" It's like, ah, I love students. They're so smart.
some of these places just really take your breath away. That I would go to lacrosse um, for classes and things, and would driving along the highway, and I'd see that Rocha Cree Park, or shipwreck. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that it's just stunning. It's kind of heartbreaking that there's graffiti on it now, but it's just beautiful. And another favorite is in my county, Marinette County. Um, and I talked about the Thunderbirds, Thunder
Mhm.
Mountain.
Yeah.
What a beautiful park. It's just maintained very well. It's a hike, up the mountain. And I don't know what I was expecting. I think maybe I've been conditioned with amusement parks and things, but it was just massive boulders in a circle, just as the drawing shows it, with then smaller rocks inside. And to think that there is this belief that that's where the Thunderbirds would nest. It's just kind of breathtaking. And the views are amazing looking down.
Yeah, though, as I was reading, I also looked up image search. Shipwreck.
Hmm. And
And it,
it's,
it really helped to add to the texture of the story to have those descriptions and
yeah, and
Thunderbird.
I encourage people to go to them. I mean, $5 to park, and you can see this wonderful and have this wonderful experience of being in the outdoors and,
Mhm.
in Mother Earth. It's
Yeah.
it's really incredible. And the same, well, in Door County is not just all the tourist things and the shops, but Potawatomy State Park is really very nice.
Oh, yeah, again, when I look up pictures, and again, I'm from the Southwest, so it's just such a different
Very,
look. Yeah.
very much so. And the
Yeah.
Great Lakes and all of that.
Yeah. There's a lot more water where you are.
Oh, we have a lot of water. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and this gentleman I was teaching with taught me, um, I had moved from Manitowoc and he said, "Oh, Manitowoc, because Manitou is spirit. Oh, that's where the spirits meet." And just it adds a whole different layer or dimension to your life,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
as a writer, I find very attractive. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, no, and it's nicely woven into the book throughout. It's something else that's in there that I really love is she has this little blue jay that she
Oh,
perceives as pestering her, and everybody else is like, you need to listen to the blue jay. And
here he is.
"Ah."
Here he is.
And
Yes.
that actually, and it's one of my favorite drawings in the book too, is that little blue jay.
That little
Uh,
blue jay. Yes. My
and
son gave me this.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So are there any legends specifically tied to that tribe with the Blue Jays, or is it just kind of birds in general?
Um, it's kind of funny. You know how when you start being aware of something that you were not as aware of before, you start noticing a lot more. And I don't know why the Blue Jays just appealed to me that he would come to her. And now I start seeing it, like my son gave me this wonderful old book I found in a used bookstore, and there's a blue jay
Oh.
on the cover. Um, they can be tricksters. They can be annoying. Their sound can, you either like it or you don't. Um, but they're known for their loud calls, um, and clear communication. And that's something I tried to bring out. He's always trying to get Caddy's attention
Yeah.
because she tends to wander off what she should be doing, and get distracted, and he's there, at the window or showing up poolside, get your head back in the game, girl. Um, they can also stand for transformation. That's a period of change or personal growth.
Which for
Um,
that age where she is, that's exactly
yes.
perfect. Yeah.
And as her grandmother told her, to look to him for guidance, and I'm just assuming it's a him. Um, he's her guide in the sense that he tries to keep her on track.
Mhm.
Uh,
On the
and
path
then
of
the
duty.
other day, I was standing at my kitchen door, and a blue jay, it was a screen door, came and was right on the other side and looked at me. And I did consult with one of the elders up in Hannahville, and she said it was emphasizing the importance of family. And I'd gone through this medical emergency type situation with my son, and he was staying with me for a few weeks. And, everything in my life stopped. It was taking care of him.
Yeah.
And yeah, and she said that would be family,
Yeah.
keep your nose
Yeah.
to the grind on family. Now, again, that's just one person's interpretation, but it fit at that point in my life.
hmm
It fit.
Um, well, and you'd said that your son is doing
Oh,
better
he's fine now. Oh, yeah.
and,
Everything's
and you're
back to
back in
normal.
writer mode. So
Back in writer mode. Yeah. Yeah.
So, at the end of the book, there is a study guide for teachers and readers,
Hmm.
which makes sense because you developed all that
Hmm.
curriculum. Are these books in any of these schools?
Uh, I hope so.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
we have. My publisher is very generous. We have sent them to different libraries and schools. I'm working with the one of the native educators at the Calgary Public Library in Canada,
Mhm,
because there's a large Ojibwa population in Canada. Um, the message of one of the messages of this book is what happened to Caddy's mother. She
mhm,
disappeared when Caddy was around 6. Caddy's now approaching 14. There are life lessons she needs to learn as she's entering her life as a woman, as she's changing. And she misses her mother. You have to look very carefully on the cover, but here to the right of the coffee machine, you'll see the red hand, on the imprint of a red hand, which is a symbol for murdered and missing Indigenous people.
mhm.
Um, we don't know what happened to her mother. I didn't say, she just uh, disappeared with everything was fine at home. There was no build up to this. She's just gone. Um, I have heard that at least one, if not more, of my former students are missing. And, it's a problem that I don't think gets enough attention. And I worked with two of my former students on resources, which I list at the back of the book, and I can send you the links if you like. I think they're in the book as well.
Yeah,
Um,
they're on the
uh, Yeah, one of my
the
former students
acknowledgement.
is actually a tribal police officer in Oneida. Um, yeah, it's a problem. And I wanted to write a really entertaining story that kids would like, that families would like, but they would pick up on the underlying message of be careful.
Yeah,
It's so easy to meet people on the internet and trust them and think, oh, this is, this is my friend. And just be careful because you
yeah.
don't know what you're
Don't
getting
know.
into.
Yeah, I was kind of explaining the plot to my husband, and he was like, "So it's an important book, a lesson book," and I'm like, "Well, no, it's really fun. It's really entertaining, but it also has this is important information for people to know."
Yeah,
So yeah, you get
you can't hit kids over the head with,
yeah, right.
with the
Yeah,
hammer. Like,
absolutely.
no, you can't go on the internet or something. But just lead them to it,
Mhm.
kind of be
Yeah,
careful, that's all. And if you are going somewhere, check in with somebody
right,
or
right.
bring a couple friends with you. Don't go alone or that kind of thing. And
And
that's the
and
message.
Caddy really likes to just run off on her own.
She just wants to go running. She wants to go off and meet John Ray, at the beach and go out
Yeah.
here and there you know,
And he's
and
like,
it's
don't run off alone.
well, it's a different world. I
Yeah.
feel kind of strange saying that, but as a mother and a grandmother, it's kind
Yeah.
of be use a little common sense.
Use a little common sense. So is what is next for Caddy and what is next for you as far
Um,
as the writing goes?
as far as the writing goes, well, Caddy is when I wrote the first book, Caddy and the Bear Necklace, I never dreamed it would turn into a series. And my publisher has been great and he wanted to develop it into a series. So the second book, Caddy and the Birch Bark Box, deals with the Christmas tree shipwreck because
Mhm.
I'm fascinated with shipwrecks and we live on the Great Lakes. But it also is a mystery in that Caddy, uh, with the help of her friends, solves the mystery behind an elder and his reputation on the reservation. And there's a shipwreck or two that's thrown in. Because I love shipwrecks. What can I say? I mean, I like the history of them. Let's put it
Mhm.
that way. And we are in the Great Lakes, and there are a lot of shipwrecks. And then Caddy and the Search for Family, um, just because it's an important issue that I think needs to be brought up. But I wanted to keep, as I said, keep writing a story. I don't know what's next. I wrote a memoir many years ago about my experiences teaching on the reservation. I had an agent in New York. I was working with an editor from the New Yorker. And did you ever get to where you're writing and rewriting and rewriting? And then I just said, yeah, I've got to put this aside for a while. And I got, like Caddy, waylaid into writing these stories. So I would like to go back to that and see with time having passed, because I think it describes an important part of history that has changed. Our workday was different
Mhm.
than many mainstream schools. For instance, every Monday morning, everyone would gather in the gym for a ceremony, and we'd stand in a circle, and one of the elders from the community would come in and they'd light either cedar or sweetgrass or sage. And then, well, I can show you if you'd like to see it, the shell.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have this shell, and you could see,
That's lift up a little higher. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's
I
abalone, which you mentioned in the
right,
book.
and I have I think it was burning sage because they do that in my office. And then you waft the smoke over you. So visualize us standing in a circle, and the elder comes around with one of the older boys, and they do this. Some people teach that you take your glasses off when you do this so that the creator can see you. Again, that's a personal thing. And then they just give the kids a nice lesson, you know,
Hmm.
be respectful for your to your elders this week, pay attention in class, and that kind of thing. If women were on their moon, they're menstruating, they're asked to step aside because you're considered to be very powerful at that time and you don't want to disrupt the ceremony. So there were things like that that really
Yeah,
felt very
yeah, that would
appealing.
be a fascinating memoir.
Oh yeah, and throughout the
Definitely get
day,
back to that.
yeah, throughout the day, things like that, throughout the week, and um, yeah, and I'm not sure if those things are still being done. I think it's changed a little bit, but for me, it was a very unique time.
Yeah, well, you're going to write what in the time frame that you know. So,
Yeah, a
yeah,
little different from what I taught in more mainstream schools.
yeah, a little
A little
bit.
different, a little different.
All right, and where can our fans find you? You have a website, social
Oh,
media,
yes. www.andallman.com,
easy enough.
which needs to be updated. I'm also on Facebook, Ann Dallman Author, and on Instagram, Ann Dallman Author. So, yeah, social media, I've got to get pumping at it again. It's,
It's a constantly changing kind of whack-a-mole sort of thing, social
yes, it
media.
is. It is. It definitely is. I can send you the links if people would like to learn more about murdered and missing Indigenous people. And those links were provided to me by my former students.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just something we all need to be aware of, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Because
And I
that's just scary to think about. So, and again, the book is just really highly entertaining. Cady is a compelling character, and she's fun to follow around uh,
thank you.
and see her kind of grow. So,
Kind of a quirky little kid. Yeah,
yeah.
fiery, and facing problems that I think many kids have, growing up in a blended family
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Oh, she's got a lot going on.
she has a lot going on, and her grandmother is the stabilizing force.
Yeah.
She and her grandmother have this really special, unique relationship
Yeah.
that really, as a grandmother, I have a beautiful little 10-year-old granddaughter who I don't see nearly often enough because she's in Chicago. But it's just a privilege and an honor to have a little girl in your life like that,
Mm,
you know. And that's very important in the Native culture too, is respect for elders.
mhm. Yeah.
I like those traditions.
Well, and they come across just beautifully in Caddy and the Search for Family. So,
Thank you. Thank you. And
well,
the
thank
first
you
two,
for um, thank you for being with us today, and thank all of our uh, watchers and listeners for tuning in today to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews.
and thank you for the wonderful interview and this opportunity. And again, I just want to thank all my former students for teaching me far more than I think I taught them, and to my publisher, who's been super supportive, Modern History Press in Ann Arbor.
That is absolutely
So,
wonderful. Thank you for being here, Anne.
okay.